Hello and welcome to today's session of Govconversations. Today we're going to be talking about the 5 ways your peers are improving their project management processes. My name is Kathy Boatwright and I am a director in our product management organization specializing in our cost management tools. And I have with me today Kim Koster, who is a senior director specializing in project portfolio management. Hi Kim.
Hey Kathy, how are you today?
Good. So you know, we recently finished the Deltek's annual clarity report, and in the report this year there was a question about schedule risk analysis, which is new for the report. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, let's take just a second and level set as exactly what schedule risk analysis is. It's a technique that's used to identify and assess issues and problems that you may have with your schedule that'll cause it to be in jeopardy. So what we ask the respondents is to say, do you do schedule risk analysis in the proposal, in upfront planning, or in execution? Or do you do it in all 3 of these or none at all? 42% of our respondents actually said that they do schedule risk analysis in all 3 phases of the project. Now, those folks that do schedule risk analysis in all 3 phases actually saw a minimum of 30% profit improvement, and they were also much more mature than their peers around project management. So, you know, maturity really equals profitability, predictability, cash comprehension, and the ability to deliver projects on time and on budget to their customer. So our first trend that people ought to be paying attention to is performing a schedule risk analysis on all 3 phases of the project.
So what's the number 2 trend?
The number 2 trend, we ask customers about doing a risk register, and whether they had a risk opportunity register. The results were very interesting. 28% of the folks said they didn't do a risk register at all, which was amazing, shocking to me actually. 60% were having their project managers actually do that risk analysis, but do it, risk adjust their schedules at the project level. And then 12% were doing a corporate or an organizational risk register. The problem with that, it's great that the project managers are doing that, but the problem is that those project managers then have no way to share that tribal knowledge. So people who have a like project don't get that value of that information, and people who are doing proposals don't get that information. But today there's some new software out on the market, and it is really a collaborative risk tool, and it allows you to have a conversation around the risk and store that conversation so that people later on down the line who may need that information can actually still get it. It's not siloed on an Excel spreadsheet somewhere like most risk registers have been at the project level. So the second trend really is putting together a risk and opportunity schedule so that everyone can get an idea of what those risks look like and what the resolutions were for them.
So 2 trends around project management related to risk. Are there more trends related to risk?
Yeah, there's one more, and this one's absolutely stunning, okay, absolutely shocking. The next one is 90% of the companies that responded to this did not have a very mature risk management process. I mean, that's amazing. Okay, so, you know, there's so much opportunity there for companies to really stand out and have a competitive differentiator by putting in a risk and opportunity process, especially a robust one. You know, we just said that if you do schedule risk analysis that you get a 30% profit increase. Can you imagine, Kathy, what you're going to get if you actually put in a robust risk management process? So companies today don't want to institute a risk management process until they have a catastrophic event, say a project failure. Government contractors don't particularly want to institute a risk management process unless they're forced. So we saw that in the survey. The number 1 way that they want to introduce a risk management process into their cycle is if the government made them. The other one was if there was a catastrophic failure, a project failure, something that was embarrassing or caused them to not get new business. So, you know, the third trend is really look at your risk opportunity processes, institutionalize those, and get that discipline going to make yourself a competitive differentiator from your peers.
So what about non-risk related trends?
The biggest challenge for project management overall, and it's been for several years, and this was really kind of amazing to me, is inexperienced project managers. So what we're starting to see in the industry is the uptick of project managers actually getting their PMP and companies investing in that. We also saw an uptick on how important project management training was to companies. So people are starting to realize they have to invest in those assets. So the 4th trend is really to invest and retain your successful project managers so that you'll have successful projects.
So this is great. So I'm really interested. What is the 5th trend?
Okay, so the 5th one, Kathy, is, okay, it's visibility and control. So what we've seen over the last 5 years is an overall decline in visibility and control from companies. Now, let's break that down between the size of companies. So small and medium-sized companies, there's an increase in visibility and control, but in the large companies, there's a decrease. So that kind of makes sense to me. So large companies, it's harder to take advantage of the new software, and in times where profit's been very tough, everybody's really watching that very closely. So those big IT projects may have been delayed for a time. Small companies and medium-sized companies are much more nimble, and they can make those software changes much quicker. The other thing is that, you know, today, if I get on my iPhone, I want to be able to swipe that and immediately get information. I don't want to wait 5 seconds. I don't want to wait 1 second. I want it to just render immediately, and I want that information to be accurate. So how we define visibility today has changed, and that may be having some influence on how people rate their visibility. So the fifth trend is to make sure that all your project stakeholders have visibility all the way up and down their chain. Make sure that all of your project stakeholders have visibility into cost and schedule, and that everybody has the information they need to make good decisions.
So I'm just going to recap. So number 1 is having schedule risk analysis. Number 2 is having a risk register in place. And number 3, related to risk also, is really having a good, mature risk management process within the organization. And then not related to risk, we're really looking at retaining talent. So hiring good project managers and being able to have an organization environment that you're going to be able to keep them. And then the last one is good visibility and control for your organization up and down all levels of the project.
That's it. So I hope everybody found that valuable. It seems simple, and if everybody would do that, we would have a lot more successful projects.
Great. Thank you very much, Kim.